I'm kind of over it. Like from a betting perspective, I feel like every time I'm going to the same players now with Mookie Betts and Will Smith, I feel like everyone's betting those same players and they haven't been coming through the last couple of days. How do you continue approaching betting the World Series as we go forward?
It's certainly tough. I was on Tommy Edman the other 2 nights ago to have a hit, and he went 1 for 8 and, took him, I don't know how, with 15, 16 innings, he finally came through. So I'm happy to get that through. I also had over 5.5 total games for the series. So that is already cash. That's already graded as a win, which is great. I don't know if I want to bet anymore because the fact that I needed 16 innings to cash a Tommy Edman hit prop and I won the over 5.5 games already, I'm not sure I want to be too involved anymore. I will say if I'm betting anything, I won't be laying juice. I will 100% be using I believe it's a 30% FanDuel boost that they have for this. So if I can find something with Ohtani and get it up to plus money, that I may take a shot on just because it's I'll be getting plus money.
Ohtani needs his day off tomorrow.
I sure, absolutely. No doubt about it. So I may just take something small, but in terms of like having a conviction, it's basically out the window at this point.
Yeah, the MLB at this point, I'm just in it to enjoy like what we're watching with these players and these games with tied up at 2 in the series. And some people thought this would be over in 5. I thought Toronto would definitely put up a fight. I like that you had the over 5.5. This one's going to go back to Toronto. And I just, again, can't get myself at this point because pitchers are going to start to get pulled. We have an off day tomorrow. There's just so many variants that, and I hate hitter props as much as we've been hitting some RBI props and runs scored props. Oh, it's been a lot. But okay, hockey started.
Yeah.
I know that there's not a lot going on tonight. I'm going to go make sure my dog's not choking on this new toy.
I will say tonight, if you have to go step away.
I was going to put you in and you talk about any trends, anything that stood out as the hockey season started.
Yeah, let's just start with tonight for the Maple Leafs. Austin Matthews is plus 125 for a goal tonight. I will say I think that's that's a good price on him. And he's coming off a game, high volume of shots. He had 5 shots in the first period last night, and he's constantly pushing that forward. 125 going up against Columbus, I think, is objectively good. We're not going to get much better than that. We're never going to get someone like Austin Matthews at 150, 140. We'll never even get 145 on him. But, there are times when Austin Matthews is plus 100, plus 105 for a goal. And, what we have a 6.5 over under with the juice to the over at minus 128, I'll take a high volume shooter that hasn't scored in a while, especially that we're getting a good number at it. So that would be my only take on tonight's game. I know we had the Frozen Frenzy last night where all 32 teams were in action with 16 games. We'll be back tomorrow with a full slate. As for overall trends, we haven't seen, I wouldn't say I've seen anything that's been super stand out, at least from a league level. What about a Leafs, Raptors, Jays moneyline parlay? Listen, if you want to go and back all the Toronto teams, I think that's totally fine if you want to do that. Leafs, looked a little bit shaky last night. Let's just call it what it was. The Flames have been struggling to start the season and certainly pushed them, and they needed a late goal by Domi to come away with the win for that. They're on a back-to-back, but Columbus is also on a back-to-back. Columbus is certainly a pesky team. They're a team that was right on the outside of the playoffs last year. I expect them to be in that kind of same spot, wild card, pushing towards that this year. The goals should be coming tonight. That's the only thing I'd be looking at. And I will say, if I could just get his shot prop real quick, Kirill Marchenko is he's been moved up to 3.5. So I like Marchenko on the Blue Jackets. If it was 2.5, I would be willing to lay minus 150 on over 2.5 shots for Kirill Marchenko, but that's only if you can find that line.
I know that in the chat we were seeing some questions. I know that Mark was asking like Leafs, Raptors, Jays moneyline parlay.
I would say the weakest link on that, it actually might be the Raptors, right? Like Raptors going up against Houston. Houston obviously has high expectations this year. They're off to a slow start. I know they got the first win the other night against the Nets, but the Raptors, I would say, would be the weakest link. The Leafs could absolutely come away with the win, even though I kind of do like the Blue Jackets tonight. And then the Jays, despite the fact that it's Snell, like it's the World Series, anything can happen. If Snell gets pulled early and that terrible Dodgers bullpen comes into play, the Jays can absolutely put up runs.
Let's talk about what we've got tonight in the association. Cade Cunningham, you're going with an under.
I know someone just mentioned that. Jane Main 34, Cade under points and PRA every game. I don't know if he read my mind. I don't know if you gave him a tip early, but I like Cade under. And I do think Cade Cunningham is a really solid player, but he's been off to a really bad start this year. And, digging into some of his numbers, and I will say it's a 4-game sample size. He has a total of 72 field goal attempts taken. So we are dealing with a very, very small sample size. But he's shooting 36% from the field this year, and he's averaging 20 points. Last year, he was up at 46% and scoring 26 points. The year before that, 44%, 22 points. So he's shooting 36%. This is the worst year of his career, right? And it's only 4 games, but every year he's been over 40%. So whether it's something that he's dealing with, a slow start, they're getting other players involved, whatever it is, when he's averaging a combined, 33-ish PRA and his prop is sitting up at 39.5 or 40, and he's shooting so terribly, I can't buy into wanting him to essentially jump 10 plus to get to 40, 41 for me to be comfortable. And we have to look at the matchup versus Orlando. This is not a super high total. Both teams are, I'm going to say, in the top half-ish of the league when it comes to defensive efficiency. Also, these teams play relatively slow. So nothing is leaning me towards the over for.
Well, whenever anyone plays the Magic, I don't want to bet on any overs anyway because they're a slow-paced team and they're really defensively focused.
Yeah, so I take, the way I described it, at least in the NBA, you had a little, segment about that right before I hopped on, but early season, let's call it the first third of the season, it is all about unders for me. Like, I will take overs on a game, but I won't take overs on player props. Like 99 times out of 100, I'm taking unders on player props. In the last third of the season, I will take overs on player props. And it comes down to beginning of the season, players are, I'm not going to say messing with the rotation, but they're experimenting. Like, this is the time for them to figure out what works, what doesn't work. When do we bring this guy off the bench? Do we need this, double big lineup? Do we need more shooters? So a player that is projected for, let's just say 36 minutes, sometimes he only plays 30 or 28, and you're going to say, okay, 30, he was supposed to play 36 or projected for 36. That's not that much of a difference, but 6 minutes is, let's call it 3 or 4 possessions per minute times 6, and a player that has a high usage rate, that's taking away so many field goal attempts, so many assists or rebounds. Then we have the blowout factor, which I think is higher in the first third of the season. And then we also have the injury factor, which is, okay, let's just say it's not a serious injury where he knocked knees with someone or rolled his ankle. Theoretically, he could come back, but there's also the thinking of, we don't need to push him out there. It's the end of October. It's the beginning of November. Why not just give him the rest of the game off? We have a day off tomorrow, and he'll be ready to go for the weekend. No need to push him out there. So that leads to more and more unders.
Early on in the season has been really hard because the NBA nobody seems excited about playing in the beginning of the season. A lot of stars are hurt. Yeah. I know that the best way to take advantage is by looking at who's getting those minutes. Who are some players that you have taken advantage of because of injury?
So you were talking again before, Austin Reeves. He is just shooting. And you also mentioned you obviously can't just look at the sample size of what has he done as what's he doing on the season? What did he do last year? You have to look at the specific scenario when LeBron and Luka are out. Look at the usage differential. Look at the field goals attempted per 36 minutes, whatever it is. So I would say look to him. Cat didn't look great last night, and Cat was questionable or doubtful coming into.
He's been injured all the beginning.
Yeah, the season opener. So Brunson already has super high numbers. You're never going to get a discount on his points or PRA, whatever it might be. But there's a thinking that his usage will be pushed even higher just because. He has to be the engine of the offense even more so. You could be looking there. And then I also looked at teams. I've been taking some Trae Young unders just because with Porzingis, when he first got there, it's listen, the offense, it may be a little bit shaky, might be a little bit weird because they're trying to get everyone acclimated, everyone on the same page, and then push things forward. So I'd be looking for star players just to give up a little bit when there are new players on those rosters, just because, I got to distribute the ball, get everyone worked into the offense.
Speaking of the Hawks, since Porzingis is in and out all the time because of this pods disease that he has, every day he's questionable. Some days he'll play, some days he doesn't. How long are you waiting? Is it going to make such a difference in the way that you approach Hawks games when it comes to the Porzingis status?
I mean, he is good defensively,
Mm-hmm.
so that does play an impact. But as long as they're getting up and down and high in pace, they're gonna score. And as of now, I wouldn't say there's like anything to take away from it. A 4-game sample size, 5-game sample size, I wouldn't draw anything from that. We're going to see games where Porzingis plays 20 minutes and he's like hyper efficient in those 20 minutes and he takes 15 shots and he hits 10 of them and he's flying over props. And there's going to be times where he gets out there and he doesn't look good and then they just pull him because he was questionable coming in and they have 2 days off. So they're just like, hey, let's just give him some rest. So I wouldn't like plant the flag in anything until Christmas.
That's when I wish I could start betting the NBA, but unfortunately in this industry, we have to start betting it now. And I would rather just say, hey, let's just wait until Christmas. But the sport that I love to bet any time of the year is the NFL, and Thursday Night Football is tomorrow. Miami Dolphins hosting the My Baltimore Ravens. It is the first time we're seeing Lamar Jackson in, 4 weeks? It was 2 weeks before the bye, then this past week. So we're going to see Lamar finally. It's even funnier that they decided to announce today that he's going to play as opposed to last week when we had to freaking wait and find out that he's not playing. So now we know Lamar is in. Before we even get to any props that you're looking at and the one that you actually bet, how do you see this game panning out?
I see it as bad. Like that. I texted someone earlier today that I work with, and I was like, "This game is terrible. It's horrible. I hate it. Any way you want to describe it along those lines, I think is acceptable. Where the Dolphins are just a mess of a team, and I would say last week with all the points and the win versus the Atlanta Falcons, I would say that's like a flash in a pan rather than a sign of things to come. I would say that they just caught Kirk Cousins. And they just caught him with their pants down and they put up a bunch of points. That is not an indication of how the Dolphins are going to be playing moving forward. They're a mess of a team. We know that. When it comes to the Ravens, there's, I would say, almost no certainty for me when it comes to props, because you could say Lamar's out there. He was supposed to play last week. He's actually playing this week. Does that mean he's fully healthy and now he's just going to be going 250, 70 on the ground, whatever it might be? Or is it going to say, hang on, we're going to keep it slow. It's Thursday. He's not coming off a short week, but the rest of the team's coming off a short week. So they just try and keep things simple and come away with the win and then ease back into things. Then they have the mini bye. Then the offense will be firing on all cylinders. There's so many things going on. I have no real strong takes except the one prop that I really do like.
And the one prop that you really do like involves Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah. How come he's not going to throw the football?
So first off, both of these teams are bottom 3 in the league when it comes to total plays run per game. Baltimore is sitting at 31st with 55.4. Miami is at 55.5. Running the ball would just be a normal thing to see both of these teams do, especially Derrick Henry against this terrible Miami run defense. I know Bijan Robinson didn't get things going last week, but this is really a spot for them. Oh, Lamar, he's back. Let's just lean on Henry to do his thing. When we look at the Dolphins overall, if you look at the entire season, right now they're sitting, or I should say on the entire season, they're sitting 9th in the league with a 60.1 pass play percentage. But again, that doesn't tell the entire story. If we look over their last 3 games, that has dipped to 55%. So we have a team that is passing the ball only 55% of the time. And they're also one of the teams when it comes to plays run per game, which is at 55. So we're talking about just over 25-ish passing plays for them. And then we need Tua to go to 33, which means they would need to be going over 60-plus plays and really 65-plus plays for me to feel comfortable that Tua is going to push to 33 attempts. So there's nothing that I like suggesting that Tua is going to have a ton of attempts. And last week, he had 26 against Atlanta when they torched him. And I know the game script wasn't in favor of the Falcons, but the fact that he put up that many points, only 26 attempts, I can't buy into 34 or 33 attempts for 2, I should say.
It's high. That is a high number. And the only reason that I would say that it goes over is because it's prime time and it's a very large spread. It's 7.5. So if you're playing from behind, then wouldn't you be technically throwing the football to try to catch up? Or you think if it gets so out of hand, then maybe Tua's not even in the game?
So totally agree that if they are playing from behind, they're going to have to pass more. But I am also under the belief that the Ravens will just try and keep things simple and get back to basics, which is running the ball. Thus, they're just going to keep the ball out to his hand. So he's just not going to have as many bites at the apple to get to 33, even though they may be in a passing game script. He's just literally not going to have enough chances because the clock's not going to be there for him.
From your mouth to God's ears,
I hope
that the Baltimore Ravens will run the football tomorrow. Again, I keep forgetting. I'm actually putting this game. I go home to my parents' house tomorrow to bring Marley there before I leave on my trip. And I keep forgetting that I'm going to be watching the Ravens game with my dad. He's going to be so mad. He hates watching games with me. He hates it because
or do you hate watching games with him? Which one is it?
No, he's fine because he doesn't lose hope in the first quarter like I do.
Okay.
As soon as it happens, if the Ravens come out the gates and throw the football, I'll probably be mad. I'm just kidding.
I would have to assume first play that they have will be a run play or play action to Mark Andrews. Those are the only outcomes, I think.
Gosh, who would score a touchdown tomorrow?
I don't know. FanDuel has that promo going again. There's reason to buy into Mark Andrews just because the number's so good. At 175, Isaiah Likely at 240, but it is pretty thin. I could talk myself into Ollie Gordon at 430 for the Dolphins just because he's a bigger back and they like to use him inside the 10, inside the 5.
Ooh, okay. And then in the NFL, just going forward, going into this weekend, any teams, prop trends that you've been trying to attack?
So normally avoiding receivers when it comes to Broncos or Texans, receivers going against those defenses.
But they've been so good.
But if Nico Collins is back for the Texans, Pat Surtain is out for the Broncos, so he's going to avoid that shadow coverage, and that really could open things up. And C.J. Stroud looked good last week, and their offensive line has been terrible this year. He has not been passing efficiently, but if they get a weakened Broncos secondary and we see Nico Collins back, that is going to be something very interesting. And then what do the Chargers do on offense against the Titans? Kamani Vidal is not someone I truly like, but can they just tear apart this secondary? And we see Ladd, QJ, who put up a 0 last week, and Keenan Allen all go for like 60 plus and multiple touchdowns.
Joseph Rodriguez, you were reading my mind. I was going to ask what Tom thought about the upcoming Bills and Chiefs game, 4:25 on Sunday. 52.5, honestly, for the way these two have gone head to head, seems kind of low.
It does. I would say you have to have, like, if you like the Chiefs, I would just play them on the money line. I wouldn't lay the -1.5. Just play the money line. It's -126. If you like the Bills, obviously just take the points, take the money line. Part of me just wants to dive into Allen and Mahomes props just because, again,
pass attempts overs.
I just don't know sometimes we don't know who they're going to pass the ball to. Like, we know when things are getting condensed in KC, like Hollywood Brown got pushed out the other night, and it's really just going to be Rice, Worthy, Kelsey, and then a few other players. But sometimes it's not going to be a lot of Kelsey as we saw last night or 2 nights ago with 99 yards. It could be a little more Worthy.
That was so obvious, though, because the matchup just was so good for a tight end.
Right. It was. But it's sometimes if Kelsey takes a step back, it's going to be more Worthy or Rice. I don't want to be wrong, but I know it could just be right on Mahomes. I could just be right on Allen when they have 6 players that are above a 12% target share in Buffalo, but they're all under 20. It's Shakir, Coleman, Kincaid, Cook out of the backfield, mixing Palmer, mixing all these other receivers. I don't know who's going to throw it to the ball, but now he's going to be throwing it.
I know that it might be a little early. You always like to post on X your anytime touchdown score for the weekend. Do we have one yet?
I don't. I think it's a bounce back spot for the 49ers. I think that's pretty simple.
Isn't it kind of crazy to see the Niners just laying 2.5 against the Giants?
It is. It's only that. There's nothing that stands out to me right now thus far. Okay. It's easy to back someone without digging into the odds. It's easy to back someone like Puka coming back. It's probably going to be a pretty short number, like 110. Devontae. I wouldn't mind going to Brian Thomas Jr. His name has been popped up in rumors about him being traded. They say they want to keep him. They're going up against the Raiders. He should have a big game against the Raiders. I really do like that spot. So maybe something like that. And if Jacoby gets traded, I guess they did just sign Tyler Lockett. So maybe Tyler Lockett is a fun one for the Raiders now that he's back with Geno.
That's true because he at least has familiarity with a quarterback.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's kind of hard to learn an offensive scheme in a week.
It is. He has familiarity with Carroll, so maybe he's out there for 30% of the snaps. But when he's out there, they're targeting him in very simple routes.
Mark saying he wants Cook 2+ TDs this week.
That's Casey's got a good run defense. I'd be more interested in. Again, I think it's just Allen. I'd rather just take Allen on passing, rushing combined.
Yeah. Passing, rushing combined against Kansas. I could see that. There's just going to be a lot of throwing the football in this matchup because that's exactly what these two do best. And it's always a shootout, it feels, between the Bills and the Chiefs.
It's good under the radar answer, Rashad Smith.
Yeah, he finally had an off week. And when I say off week, I mean a not good week. So I feel like he has to bounce back.
Mahomes likes
getting a lot of those touches.
And that's more important than anything. And yes, no Pacheco, all big things. I think honestly it comes down to Kareem Hunt inside the 20s and Hunt near the goal line, but Rashad Smith in between the 20s. And
that's what's going to make it hard for me to bet that, because now without Pacheco, how are we going to see the passing game change out of the backfield with Brashard Smith and Kareem Hunt? Because it's been Brashard Smith.
Yeah, I think it's a great look to get some action on Smith, assuming the number's good. Yeah, not just blindly.
Always bet good numbers. Tom Vecchio brings us all those great numbers and all the great analysis every single week. And he's going to be filling in for me next Thursday and Friday, filling you guys in on all the big sports. And he'll make sure to cover, of course, the upcoming NFL weekend. Tom Vecchio, Tom_Vecchio1. Make sure to give him a follow. Thank you so much. And thank you for filling in for me next week. I'm excited to watch.
Yep, I'll be hosting next week on Thursday and Friday. Normal stuff. We'll run through the card. I'll give you what I like. I'll answer your questions, and we'll keep it simple.
Thanks, Tom. Good luck tonight.
Same to you.